A in the AEIOU of the pursuit of arts reflects art itself. And I think we all recognize that art is an extension of your personality. And before I talk about it, let me give you a sneak peek into South Indian rhythm. I'll just recite a bit of this, something which we call Konagolu or Konakol, uh, because it's around, what's the time, 2:45, good time for you to snooze. I want to wake you up, right? Okay, here we go. Takadimi takajanu takadimi takajanu takadimi takajanu takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadimi janu takadimi takajanu takadimi takajan takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadimi takajan takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadimi takajanu takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadiradim takadiradim takadira takadiradim takadira 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 takadiradim takadiradim takadira 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 takadiradim takadiradim takadira 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 Okay, see that forced you to listen, and listening is something becoming like a forgotten species, especially after the COVID hit us. You're all forced to see the TV screen so much that I'm very sure no one was there. You just switch on the class and just disappear and do your normal course. That's exactly the order of the day. Just pull you back into the art of listening. And there are great benefits of listening. And one of the basic things that happens when you listen is the internal chaos comes down. And that is very, very important for you to start learning. And if we talk about the art itself and start looking at what goes into the various facets of the art, any art. In my case, it is the percussion art. I play the mridangam, right? And technique is an extremely important aspect of any art, okay? As much as it is about any sport. Like when we talk about batting, the technique of batting is very important, right? Similarly with the technique of a performing art. Again, coming back to the first statement, art is an extension of your personality. I get taught by my guru, the various things about how to play mridangam, and I mean, certain things are very important because you have to invest on technique, like the way you sit, and the extension of your arms. I'm talking about the playing of the mridangam, and the way the mridangam is kept with your, if you're a right hand mridangist, the right leg extended, sit in a way that you have minimum stress on your arms, and that's when you get going very well. That's exactly about any technique. You go into the technique of batting, you got to be in such a comfortable position when you have a bowler like Shoaib Akhtar or somebody bowling at you, you don't have time to react. So you must be very comfortable with your technique. And investing on technique is extremely important. And that is why we say that it is an extension of your personality. Irrespective of whatever you have been taught, finally, when it comes down to performing, actual performance, you're your own, right? Art, you need an aptitude for it, and you need a temperament for it. And the more you invest on the technique of the art, learn the technique very well. It's extremely important to invest time on it. And you need a good guru for it. You need a guru at the back, and you need a guri in the front. That's the goal in the front. The goal should be to master the technique, right? The E in this talk is about effort. And when we talk about effort in terms of an art, and I mean, I'm talking about more of a performing art, it's the sadhana or the riyas that we talk about in Hindustani classical music. Now, sadhana is something that I don't think can be explained as an effort. Like, for example, I'll tell you something. I have known this, I have done it also, but I have known people who have done this like this. Take a structure, sit with the mridangam. I have a structure like, say, tom di di dim dim di dim di tom di di dim di di dim di tom di di dim di di dim di tom gida daga dari gida daga talangu na di di dim di di dim di na di di dim di di dim di na di di dim di na gida daga dari gida daga talangu. That's the structure. Okay. Play this for 4 hours at a stretch. Can you do that? Do you have the mental wherewithal to sit for 4 hours playing one single structure? That is sadhana. And all the greats have done it. You take example of any of the greats. You have Palgat Mani here on the Mridangam, Moyalpuram Shivaraman, Karaikudi Mani. There you have Allah Rakha, you have Ustad Zakir Hussain. Just sit and it becomes a penance. That's sadhana. It's a repetitive activity. It is very important to indulge in a repetitive activity for you to be aware of what is effort in an artistic pursuit. Now, there are great benefits of repetitive activity. Replete in Indian culture is the investment on repetitive activity. Like, you have uh, the olden days, you have this mala, and they had the beads and, the counting, go on making the mantra, Gayatri mantra japa and the beads moving. It's a repetitive activity. Fantastic benefits. Forget the religious connotation attached to it, the ritual attached to it. But the fact that there is a repetitive activity brings the internal chaos down. And it's important to bring the chaos down for you to make sense out of anything. And as they say, your senses are always dancing up and down, and your mind is a monkey. It tries to attach itself to all sorts of things. You try and do a repetitive activity for 5 minutes and you will see how difficult it is. And I have personally done it for a few hours, sitting and playing one structure. Shut yourself up from the world, go on practicing the same thing. It really brings down all the chaos in you and builds up an inner strength that is difficult to describe. And it's in effect it builds self-restraint, and that restraint is extremely important for a successful career in life, because unless you learn to restrain yourself in the most difficult of situations, I don't think success is going to be yours, because I'm sure challenges are going to be so diverse and everything. And if you're not able to control your mind, and how do you control your mind? You should first learn to control your mind, and that is by sadhana. And an artistic pursuit helps you to learn towards the control of this monkey of the mind. And importantly, as we say, there's too much of white noise everywhere. There's so much of chaos. Today we are talking about this in terms of data. There's so much of data and data analytics, making sense of data and all that. Can you make music out of? Can you recognize the music in the noise? That's the challenge. And if you want to fathom the music, understand the music, get to know the music of the world, what the world is trying to tell you, reduce the chaos, get to the music of the world. It takes some time. I is the identity. Now it's very important. I think I just spoke about it a little earlier, like when I mentioned about Sehwag and Tendulkar. Building a strong sense of identity is critical for your article pursuit of an art. And you're just beyond what has been taught to you, right? You've been taught a lot of things, but um, you're going to be parroting out everything that you've learned whenever you have a performance. It's just a, a repetition of what you've been taught. But are you expressing yourself, or are you expressing your guru's thoughts? When are you going to express your thoughts? Are you coming into your own? Do you own your own? Do you know who you are? Have you developed that strong sense of self identity to express yourself? Do you have the confidence to express yourself? And that comes through sadhana. Your sadhana also develops your muscle memory. Your muscle memory is so important. As you go on doing the same thing and again, you come out to the performance, and the situation comes when you have to use that particular phrase. The fingers just take over. You don't have to think too much. Identity, and you need a strong sense of identity in any artistic pursuit. You need to be that I factor, a very strong I factor. And again, uh, reflecting back on the technique and the identity, what technique works for you, after a certain while you realize maybe what your guru taught you may not be entirely what works for you. You need to go for a slightly different uh, modification of things, because that's how your body is made, that's how your thoughts are made, that's how your muscle memory is made. So discover what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Adapt the technique finally that gives you absolute confidence in the way you play the instrument or any pursuit. Right? O is opportunity. Um, well, to be honest, it's not just about an artistic pursuit. It's true for any pursuit. Opportunities are there for anyone who's willing to work for it. If you work hard, you have opportunities. If you do not work hard, you do not have opportunities. And let me make this very clear. And I'm sure the previous speaker also mentioned about hard work. There is no way you're going to get anywhere without hard work. And we already talked about sadhana. And the more and more sadhana you do, the more and more closer you are to getting your opportunities. And let me make it very clear. Uh, if you have worked very hard, you will be smart enough to go after opportunities. That's the confidence levels you have. If this sector is not working for you, you will find another sector to work for you in performing arts itself. I'm playing mridangam for concerts. Concerts are not happening. COVID has dashed all the concerts. I'll go into teaching. I'll make it count. I'll go into speaking, online speeches. I mean, the sky's the limit. As long as you're prepared to work hard, there are opportunities. But are you ready for it? Your sadhana will dictate that. And okay, where does all this room leave room for creativity? Well, the pursuit of art intrinsically builds in you multitasking. Like you're playing the instrument itself, when you're playing in a performance, you're listening and playing together. So that's a multitasking. And when you're singing also, you're again, if you're a Hindustani vocalist, you're listening to the tabla and singing. So again, it's multitasking. And your need to go after perfection, get the note right. Swara ಶುದ್ಧವಾಗಿದೆಯಾ, ಶ್ರುತಿ ಸೇರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ನೀವು ನುಡಿಸೋದು ಲಯಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿದೆಯಾ, are you in tune with the rhythm and tune with the shruti? An ability to compartmentalize, you know, encapsulize your art form. And hyper focus. I mean, sadhana brings you the hyper focus. Now, a bit of this compartmentalization. Frankly, I find it very difficult to compartmentalize. My biggest disadvantage is I can do a lot of things. I can teach, then I go and play a game, and I'll come and probably play mridangam, and then I give a pep talk. But my difficulty is I can't compartmentalize. I I have a split personality. I am completely one person at one time, and when I come down to another aspect, I'm completely morphed into another person. I can't compartmentalize. That doesn't work for me. But there are a lot of people who can clearly compartmentalize. I mean, they just don't carry over anything. My problem is I do carry over. I'm sure many of you are like me. Find out what works for you. So internal chaos has to reduce for people like me who can't compartmentalize. But art brings out how you can do multitasking without compartmentalization, with compartmentalization, both. And you, and the universe. There is so much of emphasis on I. There's a difference between that I and that you, right? You are unique. Invest time on you. Uh, Connect to the universal mammoth-ness. Now, very important. There is so much focus today on the I factor, my personal growth, my mm, my ambitions, my way of life, and as I mentioned throughout, uh, find your way, my thoughts, all this. In all this, you can easily lose yourself, right? And what is that you? How are you connected to the universe? Remember, uh, you didn't happen all on your own, right? You're not a Udbhava Murti. You, you didn't happen just like that. You came out of something, right? And you are connected to this vast mammoth-ness. Learn to appreciate this fantastic universe and how you are just a small speck in that, and that humility will come if you are indulging in learning. Promise you, you cannot learn if you have a big ego. And if you shed your ego further and further, then you learn and learn. And the ultimate way of learning is to just surrender to the learning itself, not to any I won't say God and that. There's all these concepts. Say surrender to the learning. If you're learning an art, surrender to the art. Learn. Now, uh, you derive so much from this universe. Are you contributing back to that? The water that you took from the pond, pour it back into the pond, and whatever blessings you have received from the universe, give it back to the universe. Oh, this he said 400 years back. It's timeless, right? And the pond is the universal pond of life. Whatever you derive from the society, you didn't, I mean, everybody has contributed to your growth. You need to recognize what you are and just give it back. And the more you give back, the more it comes back to you. Very, very important. Okay, with this, I come to the concluding remarks of my talk, and that's about the art of performance and the performance of art. When we talk about the performance of art, it's about your ability to connect to yourself. How connected with your inner self. You know, you go ahead, like I said, sadhana, I play for 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. Just sit and do penance. Now you're connecting to yourself. Now that is the performance of art. Right? That is, you're performing the art and not to an audience. But when we talk about the art of performance, it is your ability to connect to the audience. How connected you are to the audience? Are you able to convey whatever you are trying to convey in the best possible manner? As they say, communication is not what you say, but what the other person understands. And take it from me, the greatest artists are those who could play a great piece and even the layman could understand, and the learned could understand. The learned people will understand the fantastic combinations, the intricacies, that this, the grammar and everything. But the layman can understand just the beauty of the rendition. Now, can you do both? That is the art of performance. That's different from the performance of art. Performance of art, I have known some musicians, absolutely brilliant. they their hold over the instrument and the way they express themselves is mind boggling, but they don't connect to the audience. After 5 to 10 minutes, you're switched off. The music is great to the cognoscenti, to the person who understands, but the layman has switched off. That doesn't help. And there are, of course, some people who just play to the gallery, and the learned people would walk off. I mean, what is he doing? He's just being very gregarious, and this is not what we came here for. But the greatest, I've heard Lalgudi Jayaraman play the violin, and even the most, uh, the most comfortable of the listeners, the rasika would enjoy the violin, and the person who understands, oh my God, what beauty is this? You hear Tyagaraja's compositions, the great Saint Tyagaraja's compositions. There is something in the composition for the layman, the beauty of the composition. But for the learned people, when they just dissect the composition, they find some timeless truths, some amazing grammar, chandas, meter, that, this, and all that. That is a great personality. If you can blend the art of performance with the performance of the art, you're going to be a really great musician. With this, we come to the end of my talk. Thank you. Thank you for all this. Very nice.